And we developed numerical models for reactors, basically, at that time in the 70s. And then at some point, the end of 1979, I met Dag Malnes, I'm sure you heard the name.
Yeah.
And we kind of found common interests, and during the fall and winter of that year, we basically developed a concept that later was to be OLGA. And
so what prompted his?
Well, he was, the background also for him was nuclear, but not physics, as in my case. He was a fluid mechanics person, engineer. But he worked with boiling water reactors. And you know, inside them there is water and there is steam, which is a two-phase flow as well, but very different from oil and gas and pipelines.
Yeah.
But again, back to the basic equations. If you could solve them, it's a similar set of equations. But at that time, there was no physical approach, I would say, in the oil and gas industry to what actually went on inside the pipelines. You drilled a well and you and a hole, and you knew what the field basically was, and then something came up on the other end.
Yeah.
That was it.
Tried to separate it.
Tried to separate it afterwards.
Yeah.
And this was shallow fields, you know, either here in Texas or in the Middle East, even more so.
Yeah.
But with the North Sea, in the beginning, it was the same. It was shallow water, like in the Mexican Gulf at that time, maybe 50, 70 meters. But then, during the 70s, 80s, increasingly the water depth increased. Of course, you took exploited the shallow fields first, and then you moved out, like here in the Gulf. So the platforms increased. They became much more expensive. They became quite cumbersome to manage, expensive in any dimension. So we thought already at that time that the huge fields that were then emerging in the North Sea, particularly, or on the Norwegian continental shelf, which were quite far offshore, say 50 to 150 kilometers, that range, 30 to 100 miles, typically. It would be possible to actually, if you had the tools to do that, design tools, to actually have well stream transfer directly from the field on the sea bottom to shore. And this was back in say, 1980.
From subsea wells flowing back to shore. Yeah.
Nobody believed that. But, there were particularly large gas fields, which were Snøhvit in the very north of Norway, 140 kilometers offshore. And in Arctic conditions, platforms are difficult to manage. And it took some 30 years to really get that in operation, but it became a complete well stream transfer, multiphase well stream transfer from the field to shore.
And they have those now?
Yes, they have those now. So to do that, we were convinced that at that time, around 1980, there were only people doing the well flow control and so on, well flow engineers. They had to know something about what was coming up from the well. But those were not models, I would say. They were correlations. You adapted to a certain field, and then you, over time, you got a production curve which was actually sufficient and served the purpose, I would say. But that was the case when you had a platform, or when you were onshore, of course. So then you didn't transfer that stream over some distance, or collect from several wells, as we do now. But we thought it would be possible, and we started to, I started to program this code in beginning of 1980, and already in the summer we
this was something you, were other companies coming to you and saying,
no,
we have this
not
problem?
not that time.
This is something you just took on
we
yourself?
Actually took it on ourselves. with the institute backing us.
But you and Dag.
Yes, and then we produced, I should say 2 words about the model, because, as I said, contrary to what was in use at that time, well flow correlations, we call them, we actually had a clear objective from the start to produce an engineering tool based on physical principles. So we took, we designed a model which was actually should be able to follow the two-phase flow then, possibly multiphase flow, along the pipeline at any point in time, and also changing with time, because multiphase flow is extremely complex. Even in the simplest form, it's very complex. Fortunately, you don't have to model all the details to get a reasonable overall picture in terms of pressure drop and hold-up and liquid hold-up and so on, and production rates and so forth, which what you are interested in.